So, Mr. Skinner, you sent me this part in the mail. And you're wondering how to put the bail in. I'm anticipating that what we're talking about here is adding some sort of substance to this half circle that you've drawn in here. So let's do this. I'm going to go under the assumption that your half circle is going to be a little bit more than a half circle. We're going to have a little bit more than 180 degrees of arc here. And what we're going to do is establish some relationships in here. You already have this tied in here on that side. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, because I'm anticipating it's probably going to be the same way. So we'll go ahead and pick at the midpoint there. And now that we have that there, then we can probably go ahead and maybe put a dimension between the center of the circle and the origin. We're going to go ahead and make this normal too, so I can see what we're looking at a little bit better. What we want to do is make it normal to the sketch. So let's try that one more time. There we go. So we're going to make sure that these two are going to be vertical with each other, as they should be. I think you've been drawing this with symmetry. Now let's go ahead and put a dimension in there. What we're going to do is kind of lock this up a little bit. So now we have a fully defined sketch. Both endpoints are defined to the elements that are behind that. Those items that you've already sketched. And I think now we can probably do what a good feature for this would be the sweep. And you might want to redefine this maybe on a different plane if this may not come out in a manner that you see fit. But let's go ahead and rebuild this. What we're going to do is we're going to call our sketch number 12. We're going to call that our path. And now what we're going to do with that path is we're going to create a profile on that. And with the sweep, what we're going to do is we're going to put a profile on this, and we're going to sweep that along this path. And it's going to maintain that profile along that path. So one thing you need to do is we need to put a plane in here in order to get that in there correctly. So we're going to go to Features, Reference Geometry, we're going to put in a plane. We're going to pick on two elements. We're going to pick on that sketch line, that arc. And we're also going to pick on that endpoint. So what it does is it gives us a plane that's perpendicular to that arc at that endpoint. So we're going to go to the green check mark, and on that we're going to draw perhaps a circle. I've seen these as wires, so I'm anticipating they're going to be circular in nature. So draw a circle out, put a dimension on it, and the way we get this fully defined, we'll make it 1/10 of an inch perhaps. The way we get this fully defined is we take the center of that circle and that arc, we're going to make it pierce. We're going to pierce it to it. So it's going to be a little skewed here, and we could probably maybe finish that up. But just to demonstrate how that works, so with the sweep, you need to have two independent sketches, a path sketch and a profile sketch, and we're going to go ahead and name them as such. So we're going to pick the path, pick the profile, go up to here to Features. You need to make sure that you're completely out of any sketch when you do this. You need to be independent, and you need to be out of it. So you need to actually two sketches to do this feature. Sweep on a space, and it's just going to sweep all the way through that. Green check mark. And just like I mentioned before, there's a little bit of a discontinuous geometry in here, and we could probably finish that up. Now, if that's not really quite what the intent is, if you want to put something that's a little bit lower than that, we can do that. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and rewind that a little bit, and let's put in plane, a different plane. Maybe Reference Geometry, we'll go to Plane. We're going to click on this surface, and we're going to give it a distance. So the circle is 1/10 of an inch. So why don't we make that maybe 0.15, and then we'll reverse the direction on that. Maybe a little bit less than that. Actually, it doesn't need to be less than that. 0.075 would probably be good. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into our path, right click on this, we're going to edit the sketch plane. We're going to pick that plane we just sketched. And let's see, where did I put that? That's going to be my plane 2. So again, we're going to do that, the path. We're going to click on plane 2. It's not going to let us do that. So let's go ahead and rebuild this. What we need to do is probably get rid of that sweep. Sweep is taking into consideration things that have not been there before, and since we added that plane 2 here, it's not going to like us. It's easy enough to rebuild, so we're going to go ahead and delete that for now. Now we're going to go to path. We're going to make sure plane 2 is on top of the path, so it comes before the path. So right click on path, edit sketch plane. Now we can pick plane 2, green check mark, and I believe that's going to be in pretty good shape. So if you right click it, it doesn't say it's underdefined. Still picking up the midpoint relationship, but now on a lower plane. Rebuild. Now we're going to take our path and profile again, go up here to sweep boss space, green check mark. Now I think we have something that's probably a little bit closer to what you were thinking about doing. So now we have a little gap in here. One way to close that gap is to click on that face, go to Sketch, Sketch, Convert Entities. So it gives us, just like we did with the rod, gives us a profile based on the geometry that's behind that. Green check mark, go to Features, Extrude Boss Space. We're going to go up to Next, and green check mark, and it kind of fills in the gap there. Gives us a little bit of a line there, just because it's not quite a perfectly tangential surface from one end to the other, from one feature to the other. But it should work in an application like this. So I'm going to let you do that side. I think that'll probably give you a hand on this. If you have any additional questions, let me know.